Welcome. I'm Christina Haskin, your host, and tonight our guest is Albert Maysles. He's a documentary filmmaker.
Right.
How did you get into doing documentaries, and what made you want to do it?
Well, everything I do is from a human point of view, and maybe that's understandable when you consider that I got into psychology, first of all. I became a psychologist, worked in a mental hospital, headed up a research project on hypnosis and sleep at the Massachusetts General Hospital, and then taught psychology for 3 years at Boston University. I did all these things by the time I was 28. And having summer vacations, I thought at that time, why not go to Russia? 1955, when nobody was going there, if only for the fact that most people thought you couldn't get there.
I mean,
I applied for a tourist visa, and I got a month visa. But I wanted to do something useful with that time, and being a psychologist, I thought, well, maybe I can get into mental hospitals. I borrowed a movie camera from CBS. Not that I was a professional, but they were convinced that I had a good chance at maybe fulfilling this dream of getting into hospitals. And I did get into mental hospitals, and I made my first film in mental hospitals in Russia. It was called Psychiatry in Russia.
Oh, wow.
And several years went by when I made a film traveling around.
What was the name of that?
That was called Psychiatry in Russia. Okay. Got shown on one TV station, WGBH in Boston. And I made a special deal with them where they could have it for nothing if they let me use their editing equipment. And I still have the film. It's kind of primitive because at that time you couldn't just walk around with a camera and get sync sound and all that without a crew.
Right.
But as an individual, I could, with a little wind-up camera, 16 millimeter, I can get good pictures, and you really had the feeling of being in the hospital, which is very good. Several years later, I teamed up with some people that had more professional experience, Bob Drew and Leacock and Pennybaker, and we made a film of the behind-the-scenes life of two guys, one of them JFK and the other one Hubert Humphrey, as they were battling the primary election campaign between the two of them in Wisconsin.
You have very ambitious goals in getting your...
If you try hard enough, and if you like people, then you can get access to just about anybody. And you're doing people a service by representing them for what they are, not any better, any worse, or any different.
Well, I thought in your Gimme Shelter with the Rolling Stones, I got a completely different view of Mick Jagger from that film.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw him much more as a human being.
Yes. Some documentary filmmakers feel it's important for them to be out to get people, to make them look bad or silly, or to take advantage of them in as much as they want to prove a point about their own point of view. And I don't like to do it. I think that's kind of abusing people. And I think for me, the first rule is to try to understand people, to like them. And that's how I gain rapport and access to people, because they know that I'm going to do something that deserves their trust. So it's an act of friendship, and I've met all kinds of people all over the world. I've been just about everywhere. Haven't been to India yet.
No.
But I've been to North Korea, China, Japan, Australia, South America, every state in America, and it's all through my work as a documentary filmmaker. But more important than the geography, I think, is that I've been able to get very close to people. I made a film for HBO about hospice care, and I filmed 3 families where somebody was dying, and you're with them at those important moments. And I think that there's so much more for us to learn about people in various situations, to experience what they're experiencing.
But your camera the way you use the camera gets really into the, you have a way of making, at least from what I've seen, the drama of a situation, you pick it out. I mean, it's there, it's happening, but it seems like your films are very moving.
Well, I remember, I don't know if this is something you probably didn't see the primary film of the election campaign between Kennedy and Humphrey, but there's a moment where I had been talking to Jackie Onassis and Kennedy at that time, and she was about to get up and give a speech before 2,000 people, and she had already been shaking hands with so many that she confided to me that her white gloves were getting kind of dirty. So when she got up to give the speech, all of the cameras were, of course, on her, right? And face on as much as they could get, and that's important. But I slipped around back to see what her hands were doing. And what they were doing was this sort of thing. And she was so nervous. You didn't see that from front, but this was an important part of her personality. And she was so touched by that when she saw it on film.
Oh, she was, yeah.
That she said, I've got to save this film for my grandchildren. And now that she's gone, her grandchildren have it, of course. And the whole world who were able to see that, millions of people, were touched by it too.
And you did a film on her, one of her relatives.
A film called Grey Garden. Jackie's aunt and cousin, people who were recluses, that they couldn't quite go along with the style of life of aristocrats. And the mother wanted to be a singer and the daughter wanted to be a dancer.
How did you get interested in filming them?
Well, I met them through Lee Radziwill, who wanted to make a film about her childhood. And in that process, I met these two women who were part of her childhood. And they were so interesting on their own that my brother and I spent 6 weeks in the house with them. A house that was fallen into disrepair, 28 rooms, and it lived only in one room. And
in East Hampton, right?
In East Hampton. Yeah. And, but they were most eager to share their life with us, and it became probably the first very intensive film of the mother-daughter relationship. And when you come to think of it, it's the most profound human relationship, and yet artists, writers had neglected to pay attention to it. Freud was very interested in the mother-son relationship, but didn't touch upon this other relationship, which is even stronger. So that's one of the things I like about making documentaries. You discover more than you knew before.
And how do you get somebody to, you said you got their trust to be genuine and not aware of the camera that much?
I think it's the way you look at somebody.
Yeah, but you don't do interviews per se. You do just following the people.
Well, I think that why do an interview when you can film the real thing as it's going on? I mean, if you didn't have the opportunity to be with somebody at important moments, then I suppose that you have to sit down and try to ferret it out. But that's not the same, and not what documentary can do at its best. There are subjects in history where the events have already taken place, and then perhaps the best way to do it is to interview somebody.
Like Ken Burns' Civil War.
Yeah. But but it's a pity, you know. There are 25,000 students of film, and when they're taught to do documentaries, they're not forewarned that the best kind of documentary is going to be one where you're filming events in the lives of people, where you're filming people going through some event.